on the screen.
Okay. Want my back to it?
My favorite thing about the OSBA is the pen.
Oh, James pens, yeah.
Absolutely love these pens. Couldn't be better.
Lanyards. Get-
What?
get
Thanks, Steph.
Lanyards.
Lanyards? Oh, man, I love a pen. All right, tell us when you're ready.
Did everyone, I got copies of stuff for everybody if they needed it. You got
I got one, yeah. Yeah, you can.
I don't know if
Ben
I hadn't
says
heard
kind
back
of-
if Jason was coming.
Yeah, find a spot and just hang out.
Have you heard if Jason was coming or not?
No, he told me that he doesn't usually come to work sessions. So, is that, I mean, is that true? Yeah, you knew. So I don't,
I figured it depended on what you were talking about.
yeah, I figured he would know. Okay, so we have 2 hours for this meeting, and it's 5:02. So I will call this work session to order. I'm assuming there is some parliamentary activity that goes on in a work session, but not so much. It's more chatting. We're not making decisions, we're just doing stuff. So David, Pauline, can you hear us and see us?
Yep, I read you loud and clear, I can see it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're called to order more or less. I'm gonna skip the mission, vision, values. And we'll jump into our discussion items. The first thing that I asked to be on the work session is to go through the superintendent's contract. And that is in large benefit for the new people who aren't familiar with it, maybe it's first time seeing it. Because also because it's part of how we evaluate and know what the superintendent does, how we evaluate what she does and what she doesn't do. And because they're having questions and there is some lack of clarification, a couple items, I hope that we can figure that out by going through it. Is that good with everybody? So you have a copy in your packet. It is right here. So first of all, let me know if you've read it.
I have.
Katie's read it. Kramer, have you read it? Okay. Jose's seen it. Dave, you've read it and seen it. Dave, Pauline, have you read and seen the contract?
Yes.
Okay. Who needs time to read it? Kramer.
Yeah.
Okay. So this contract was initially entered into in 2022 when Carolyn was hired. And I'm sorry, first of all, you prefer to be called Carolyn, Dr. Bernal, Dr. Carolyn, Superintendent Carolyn.
In the work session board meetings, Dr. Is my preference.
Okay. In all cases, is there any place to call you Carolyn or is it always Dr. Bernal? Okay. So this is when Dr. Bernal was originally hired in the 22nd of July. A lot of whereases and determinations. There is a term. It was in effect until June 2025. So I have a question about this one. So I'm going to read it and then I have a question. The contract commences July 1st, 2022, which shall remain in effect up and to including June 30th, 25. We just had that. Subject to the district's right of termination, with a successful annual evaluation, this contract shall automatically be extended for an additional year. In the absence of a written notice from either party or intent to terminate the contract can automatically be extended. So I have a question about that. Because I have read and seen in other places that the contract was extended 3 years to 2028. And I know that there are in licensed teacher agreements and stuff, I don't know much. But I do know that there are, once you get through an initial year thing, that they kind of just roll it to 3s because it's more convenient. So my question is, how did this contract roll to a 3-year when it says 1 year here?
I don't know that you're interpreting the language correctly. So actually, I was hired in 2021 on a 3-year contract.
What
And
do
then-
you have?
No, I have
how
I
is
have the
that
same thing.
different?
It is different because I was hired in the 21-22 school year.
Yeah.
School year, on a 3-year contract.
Yeah,
During that year, there was language in my contract that was in conflict with the law. During the 21-22 school year, there were laws passed
okay.
that said you can't fire a superintendent for following the law. So
Oh,
there was
yeah,
language in my
COVID-y
contract
stuff.
that was in direct conflict with
Okay.
the law.
Okay,
And so I completed my successful first year. And
Yeah.
The board updated my contract to get the unlawful language out of it.
okay,
And this language actually speaks to, it's a rolling 3-year contract. So for each year that I complete a successful evaluation, my contract is automatically extended an additional year, but it's a 3-year rolling contract.
it's already ahead of itself. Okay. So potentially, I mean, if you're saying that, so we could come up to the end of this year and say, oh, we're not gonna extend it and go out 2 more years instead of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Where's that language?
I don't know.
To the rolling 3 years, where?
I don't know.
I have not.
Should we, yeah, that confuses me, and because it doesn't say anything about a 3-year contract in this language. It's funky. Yeah.
Can you point it out to us? Can you help us identify?
This is the language that my contract automatically extends an additional year. It's a rolling 3-year contract. It's called like evergreen language. And so.
Right, but I don't see where it says 3 years.
Yeah,
So,
other
for
than
example,
July
in the
1st.
22-23 school
Yeah,
year, I completed a
date.
successful evaluation, so my contract automatically extended another year beyond the 2 years that were left on my contract.
Ah, there we go.
Years.
So it's
So where does
always
that
3 years.
document live?
It doesn't,
It lives in every year, the board reads my evaluation statement.
yeah,
That says I've completed a successful evaluation.
right, so
And they
that
read
did
that
happen
into
in
the
May.
record. Every
Right.
spring, there's a statement that's read about my evaluation.
So
So for every year, I have that.
in 2020, so she's in the middle of her 3-year contract, right? So it's 2023, successful evaluation,
I know that.
and so it adds another year. So always it's pushing that 3 years out,
It's 3
every time
so it's
there's a
3 years
I
successful
all the time.
understand
year.
that, but I
Yeah.
don't see
3
anything
years.
in the initial that references a 3-year term.
The
Yeah,
initial is July 21st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025.
I apologize, I was gonna ask Jason some of my questions and we got busy with the complaints, so. So you call this evergreen language, and and I understand that if those extensions were made within that initial term, it just is kind of rolling out all the time is what's happening. There are no 3 years extensions, and the language doesn't have to be in there because an additional year was added when she was in her first year, essentially.
It's more, isn't it more, each successful review adds a year to that that
Right,
ongoing
and so
contract.
a successful review
Right.
would have been, the contract end date would have been 2027 this year. And so a successful review pushed it out to 2028. It's quick, you get the math? David, you get the math?
Yeah, I heard all that.
Okay, so thank you. Without that language in there, it's harder to do the math and understand how it gets pushed out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about explaining any of this. This is helpful to us. Okay?
We'll need it, yeah.
Yeah.
I would just add that it's a really common retention tool that boards use
when they have a healthy relationship with their superintendent and things. It's a great way to give
Them
their
security.
CO security in
Yeah.
their position so that they're always in the first year of a three-year
Awesome,
contract.
okay. And,
And then when we change that, it signals a change in that relationship.
yeah. Yeah, and this is, we need to be able to talk about it on the street. Well, how come? Well, how come? And explain how that came to be. I'm not sure we can, but we'll figure it out.
Hopefully Jim sees it.
Yeah. Okay. Salary, I assume there's also cost of living increases. That makes sense. Superintendent, chief executive officer, execution of policy. Board shall retain the primary responsibility for formulating, adopting policies. You are, blah, 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 you were ruled by the OARs.
I'm actually I just want to speak to salary really quick, because
Yeah.
I know that there's been lots of false rumors out there about like me giving myself raises, etc., and that is 100% false.
How do they happen?
I only get a raise if we get agreement with our unions and they take a raise. So whatever they take is what
Okay,
management takes.
okay.
We're a Me Too. So if
Awesome.
licensed and classified get a
Me
3% raise, management gets a 3% raise.
And how do you become a Me Too?
Management is non-represented.
Yeah,
so
right.
We don't have our own union.
Right.
So
But when did, you just said we are a Me Too?
we just get what they get.
Okay. Is that a policy we
How
have?
is that governed?
It's in the contract.
Mine says it in the contract. I get
Yeah.
the same cost. of
Same,
benefits
same.
as
It
the
says
North
same
Wasco
cost
School
of living
District
increase.
certified employee.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't read the consent.
So
So
whatever
there's no-
licensed employees get.
There's no separate
No.
Exactly.
kind of COLA discussion or
Negotiation.
process
for-
with any
Yeah.
administrator. They're just tied to
Yeah.
whatever our bargaining groups are getting as a COLA.
Perfect. And that's that's all, that's more than just you though, is that everybody?
The principal, assistant principal.
Oh, the
cabinet.
admin folk, yeah. Thank you. Then, okay, thank you for pointing that out, appreciate it.
And that does come to the board for approval, like when we bring negotiated agreements to the board for like licensed raises, classified raises, we also bring management. So the board approves all that.
Very good, okay. And board responsibilities, page 2. Superintendent shall periodically evaluate all district employees. I assume you do that seasonally in the spring.
I evaluate all cabinet members and all principals.
Yes. And establish, maintain appropriate community relations program. It's interesting, the word program. That'd be fun to see the program. Because there is a program. It's not really a
It's not
program.
It's more about just community
Yeah.
relations and what are all the different
Yeah.
touch points I have in the community.
Got it. Endeavor to maintain improve professional competence, and there's a whole thing in there about professional growth, and so, opportunity for that. Have authority to accept resignations. What does it mean on behalf of the board that 60-day notice provision of ORS is,
So when a licensed staff member submits their resignation, we can hold them to 60 days
to
to
continue?
continue while we find their replacement.
Thank you. That's nice. Sounds like the billboard business. Okay, be entitled to, recommend to the board, attend our meetings, serve ex officio member of each committee established by the board. Great. Professional growth, anything you want to point out here? Seminars, meetings, release time to go. Clearly, we're gonna pay for memberships and tuitions and whatnots.
Yeah.
Mentorship, did you have mentorship?
I did.
That's nice. Okay, superintendent's license, you maintain that, performance goals, oh yeah. I think we're out of order here, but that's okay, we're catching up. Evaluation, we're gonna talk about that today. So at least once a year by April 30th, so we have timelines on that we get those things going. In the event board determines the performance is unsatisfactory, there's in writing, talks, evidence, facts, recommendations for improvement, reasonable opportunity to correct. Work year vacation, are you happy with your vacation? Do you get enough time? Do you use it all?
No, I never use all my vacation.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
I haven't, there hasn't been 1 year.
Exactly, 25 days of vacation, yeah, that's hard to use, I hear you, unless you're on some, like a slow slide to retirement.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Do those roll over and accrue?
They can roll over, or I can have them paid out at the end. That's the language in here. It talks about, I can roll over, I can accrue up to a maximum of 30.
30, there you go.
I can also request, like, on an annual basis, I can request to get paid for 6 days of my unused
Mhm.
vacation time. So there's different language
Stuff in
that
there.
goes with it, but
Limits and opportunities. Okay, great. Fringe benefits, pay into PERS, professional dues, travel, tech. Are you happy with your tech? Okay. Tax sheltered annuity, make an investment for you. Insurance, leaves, if you need, professional development, again, more of that. Termination, and we should all understand that this is a process for that. Everybody can agree. Termination for cause, resignation, retirement, disability, death. So, yeah, I think superintendent may terminate on D. You can terminate in 90 days. That's nice. We get 90 days notice. Disability and death, we can skip that. And termination for cause, if somehow in our process of evaluating and asking for improvement, it didn't happen, then there's a whole process for that, public, private, whatever. Does anybody have any questions about that? It's a process. You don't just walk in one day and say, oh, it's over. Especially because it's a board process. Kevin's reading ahead, I can tell. Okay, professional liability. Okay, so, that's just the typical coverage, errors and omissions. Same thing, similar to what we have. Criticisms and complaints. The board individually and collectively agrees any criticism or complaint about an employee or program of the district of which the board is made aware, shall be promptly processed according to the board policy or policies, including bringing said criticism or complaints to the attention of the superintendent. So, very good. We did that last week. And that is the cooperation of us as board members, because we hear it in the community. And I know David's had experience with it. Like, hey, I have already. Here's the funnel. If you feel like you need to do something else, here's the funnel. Here's how you get heard in addition. So.
and should also be brought to me.
Yeah. And, okay. I love it. Thank you.
So if somebody's in your ear about
Yes.
something, you can direct them to the complaint process. But
Yeah.
then also, I should be made aware
Okay.
of what that.
So who's got a yellow pad? Renata. I want to note that somewhere because,
Otherwise, I can't be expected to try
No.
to fix things if I
No,
don't
if
know
you don't know.
what it
Is
is.
Yeah.
that somewhat like of a reciprocal? Like
Yeah,
if there's a complaint that's below the board level, not that we need to handle it, but we should be made aware of something, especially if it's potentially litigious.
If there were pending litigation, you'd know about it. In terms of complaints, like following the board policy, you wouldn't know about it because if I start sharing with you what the complaint is, then I'm giving you information and then now you're no longer an unbiased participant. Because if it comes to the board level, you all need to be neutral and have not heard about it until it gets to your level.
But something like, we don't necessarily want to find out about something after somebody's giving, like
That's
filing a
that's the
notice.
tough part, because in that role, we're fulfilling kind of a judicial role, and at that point that it becomes an appeal, we're only rendering a decision based on the facts. And that's the facts that are presented by both parties at that time. So we need to come into it without, and in theory and ideally, which is very hard in a small community, without any previous knowledge of anything, right? Because that's its own process.
So there's no policy around, the board needs to be apprised of
The
issues.
policy for complaints is KL.
Yeah, there is a policy.
I understand,
Yeah.
let me finish for a sec, please.
Yeah.
About things that are potentially litigious to the district.
I mean, yes, if you have pending litigation, your chief executive will let you know at the urging of district council.
But only once a notice has been filed.
Yeah, or you get a letter of intent to
That's what I'm
bring
talking about.
litigation or something like that.
That's the first time we would be notified about an issue.
Correct. I mean, if they were gonna bring litigation, there's a difference between a formal complaint
Yes.
and pending litigation. Those are different
I
things.
understand that. I'm just
Yeah.
like, if there are issues, personnel issues, and I understand like we don't get involved with that. I am fully aware of that. But if it's a pretty egregious thing, the board doesn't know about that.
Yeah, that is interesting, yeah.
It seems like we would want to know.
So you will know about it because it'll show up in various ways in district performance. And so you'll be asking those hard questions of why we're having problems with recruitment and
But I don't know that we
retention.
receive that information, like district performance. Like I don't know that there's a mechanism for any of that at this point.
Well, I think, and I've seen the superintendent's goals. I think she has a whole goal dedicated to providing information and bringing the board up to speed
Yeah.
on various aspects of district operations. So
And we have the right policies in place, like basically to protect the board with that information and district with the implementation of that goal.
So,
Because it
I
sounds
mean,
like
there's-
I guess I would say,
It
to
sounds like there's
Katie, to
nothing in
Katie's
place.
point,
So,
we don't need to know the content. We don't need to know the specifics, but just to be in the loop so that we're not broadsided in public. And someone says, you know about that, and we have to say, no, I have no idea. I'm totally ignorant. It makes me look like I'm doing nothing. To at least say, complaint received, at some generality of it. Doesn't have to be any content.
so
Just kind of a log of an event.
I completely understand with the concern that you're feeling but if it pertains to a personnel matter, you shouldn't know.
No, but above that. Well, they're all personnel matters, Ben.
Yeah.
They're all personnel matters.
So if it's a problem, if it's an HR problem, that is not board work. That's the work of the superintendent. Now, if someone reaches out to you and says, hey, have you heard about this? Give just enough information and then say, thanks for letting me know, and then follow up with your superintendent because your superintendent is able to do something about that.
Well, that's a report. That's a reporting of. But if so, I guess, so we're curious about, and I totally understand what you're saying and what Jose said, quasi judicial, you want to be all tainted with the facts and you want to be able to see it and hear the whatever. And I also hear what Katie's saying. You don't want to be surprised out in the world and appear like you have no idea what's happening in the district and that nobody's informing you and that you are in fact the rubber stamp and that you have no function whatsoever. So there's that. And so where is there a happy medium of saying, I'm getting, we have complaints without saying anything specific, just so a board member could say, I am aware that we have complaints in process. I am aware. I don't know.
I think a template could be, because that's a superintendent's job.
Yeah.
The template would read something like, that's an HR superintendent issue. And
Yeah.
it'll be brought to the board when it's,
Yeah.
if appropriate.
Yeah.
I think that's all we need to say.
And I mean, you are
So-
the terminal appellate body for the grievance process. So we were just talking about formal complaints. We have litigation, formal complaints,
Yeah.
and the grievance process, which is your internal HR process. You're the terminal appellate body for that as
Yeah.
well. So again, for the same reasons that it's already been said, we don't want to get prematurely involved in those because you may have to hear those as
Right, at some level.
potentially termination hearings is usually.
So what did
when
you
it
just
shows
say,
up.
Kevin? What was your language?
Well, there's a template. I would just say that's an HR problem. The
Yeah.
superintendent handles those.
Yeah.
We don't manage
Right,
the district's policies with
or the
regard
district's
to
personnel.
personnel.
Yeah.
Because you're running into things like HIPAA and everything
Oh, yeah,
else.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I
But-
just think keep it simple and just say, hey,
Yeah,
But as
our
board
superintendent's on it.
But as board members, you do have a role in that situation. If something's bubbling up in community or in the staff and people are reaching out to you, funneling that information to your
Oh,
superintendent
yeah,
is crucially important,
right.
because she's just one human.
Especially if staff is contacting you.
Well,
Yeah,
then I
Yeah.
might not know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
We're additional eyes and ears.
You might not.
And you are assuming I know when I don't know.
Right,
And
yeah.
assuming I'm handling something that I don't know.
Even know about, exactly. So, okay,
and I'll just add another
Yeah.
frustrating aspect to the space is that you may bring something to the superintendent, share that information, and hear nothing ever
right,
again.
because it's,
And that would be the system working as intended.
Yeah.
Because it's a confidential HR matter we don't get to know as school board members. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't get to ask hard questions about recruitment and retention and, staff morale and climate, that sort of thing. That is your job.
Mhm.
But that's something that your superintendent will be prepared and happy to have that conversation with you about.
And the other thing I will say, like on this topic, we're talking about the very formal processes, litigation, the complaint process. I think we as a board, as we're talking to community, should just kind of reinforce that the informal conversations are helpful too. Like if you've got something, an issue with a teacher, like as a parent, go talk to the teacher.
right,
If
want to
you,
encourage
like,
you.
keep it at the building, like go talk to the principal, like, I think opening those lines of communication, not instantly knee jerk, go to the formal process.
Yeah,
I think that's another tool
yeah,
in the tool bag, right?
right,
There are things that may necessitate, say, the formal complaint, but I think a lot of others is just plain old face-to-face conversation
encouraging that.
Yeah,
Go to the
with-
person first.
at the lowest level possible.
Yeah, it's interesting. In our complaint, Jason pointed that out in our conversation today. So there's nothing in our complaint policy that encourages a one-on-one contact first. And you can't force people to do that.
No,
But you can at least put the language in the policy that says we encourage before you file this to have tried.
That is in Cal Policy KL.
it's in
Is
there.
it already?
And there's a
Okay.
paragraph in there, identify kind of conversations you've had prior to
Does it
filling
say
out the application.
identify? Does it encourage?
Says
Okay.
you want to resolve complaints at the
Like
guess
lowest
I can-
possible level.
or
I can
something
dig
like
it
that.
out and read it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
Alright.
just something to remember as you're having those conversations out in the community, like.
Yeah.
There are more than just take the formal complaint process.
right, have you talked to so-and-so? Yeah, and there's definitely, I know that's happened already in talking to people. I had that, have you tried? Go to this, yeah, to the teacher or the principal. Okay, so complaints go one way, to Carolyn, but not out, unless they end up at the board level because they are direct against the board.
Yeah.
And, or they have attained board, whatever,
Or they're
hearing
appealing.
status.
My decision. Or
Okay. All right, so we were somewhere in here. Anybody know criticism, complaints,
we
Okay.
just talked about that. You're on 15.
residency, breach of agreement, attorney's fees, dispute severability. That's, yep, applicable law, notices, signatures. Here is a minutes.
That's my last evaluation.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so, I had a question, big question, because this seems to come up a lot. So this should be part of a interesting discussion. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, page 2 at the top. So this produces some questions, I know, and so we should get to the bottom of this one. Superintendent shall, within board policy, have responsibility to organize, reorganize, and arrange the administrative staff, including instruction and business affairs, which in her judgment best serves the district. Superintendent shall, subject to board approval, this is the stumbler here, subject to board approval, have the responsibility for all personnel matters, including selection, assignment, transfer, termination of classified personnel, and recommendations for non-extension renewal of licensed personnel. What does subject to board approval mean in this context?
You are approving licensed staff because they are TSPC, and that's statute.
Okay. And so,
So the board has one employee,
yeah,
the superintendent,
yeah.
and then the superintendent hires
Oh,
everyone else.
yeah.
And
So,
it comes through on a personnel report.
yes,
And license, it's required in statute that the board approve the licensed staff
Okay.
because it's for their TSPC license.
okay,
No approval necessary for class.
nothing, and nobody else, totally get that. So the awkwardness sometimes is that because, meetings are once a month, hiring is ongoing, it's funny or curious or awkward that somebody is hired on the job and long before we have a meeting to approve. So it's just kind of funky.
If I may, so, lots of boards struggle with this. It's an old law.
Oh,
And it harkens back to the time when school board members actually had administrative duties in schoolhouses,
oh, they were also the principal.
in a way. So, and it's still on the books. But you can liken it to a procurement process. You do a procurement process. We're talking about it right now.
Mhm.
You're talking about the superintendent's contract. So you're talking, that is a procurement process for chief executive services from a professional. Okay? They have to have certain experiences and licenses and things like that to do that work.
Mhm.
So you can think about the license hires in the districts the same way. Now, this board does not approve the purchase of toilet paper or any number of other minutia to make this school district go. You delegate that to your superintendent and staff to do that work. And hiring of licensed staff, it's similar to that. And rightly so, because there's no expectation that anybody on a school board have any training or skill or experience in pedagogy in school administration. And that's why we delegate those things to our chief executive, because we expect that of them. So that's why, and that's all in policy. If you want, I can dig up the policies for you. Didn't come prepared with that, but
Yeah.
you can go, it's in the B section of your policies.
B.
Also in the C for administration, where you're giving the authority for recruitment.
Mhm.
But the board does set expectations for the caliber and quality
Yeah.
of staff.
And
That doesn't mean you can't put
Yeah.
parameters on staffing, but you delegate your superintendent to do that work.
so it also seems like a function of the budget too.
Yeah,
We're budgeting
absolutely.
to have 5 new teachers. Well, that's 5 new FTEs. So how do you pay for that? Or we are going to RIF and so that we can achieve this in the budget. Or, clearly if you have goals and objectives, you're going to hire this kind of teacher and not emphasize that.
Yeah.
So that is a point of collaboration, I would say. And I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. Maybe the older board members can explain. How do you see strategy in the budget? Do you see it with the personnel? Tell me your experiences.
Well, I walked into the office, sat down and asked to see the open end, not the one line, just to see where we're plugging in people.
Yeah.
Is the starting pay, look equivalent to what the salary schedule says? Are you bringing somebody in at a higher level? I've asked why,
Mhm.
so that's what I've done on my own.
So did you see the strategies reflected there?
So one of the things that during the budget cycle that is most helpful, at least for me personally, you can see all the line items, you see all the detail for per building. But I always like to see how it's kind of rolled up by FTE.
Yeah.
Because then you can see, and to me, it's more meaningful when you try and compare like the elementaries, because we have 3 of them.
Yeah.
Right? It's a little easier.
Mhm.
And you can see just kind of where those numbers are at.
Mhm.
Not only in the snapshot in terms of the year ahead,
Yeah.
school academic year, but also like back historically to see, what are those up and downs and where they're at. And I know it's a little bit of a pain to do that, because there are certain positions that have some money is coming from a grant, some money is coming from the general fund, and like the way you get to a 1.0 may require like 4 different funding streams or whatever.
Mhm,
And I know on the CFO and business office side, I know it's a pain.
mhm.
However, like for me, it's a very easy visual to grasp. I can look at a building and say, you know, I've got 40 staff members at this building or whatever that number is, and you can see it over time and then understand, you know, as the budget informs a lot of that and, you know, where are we shifting, you know, or even being able to track, like, you know, what have we done with our SIA monies or other monies and see where that is. That to me is a very easy visual to understand what dollars equate into people. Being that that's, you know, by and large, the biggest expenditure that
Oh,
we have, right?
Yeah, and then you go, okay, yeah, that's because we're trying to make this happen there, trying to make that happen there.
Correct.
Forward to the building financials. Okay, so an old statute
Yeah.
kind of says weird things. And in fact, approving the personnel report satisfies this. And that, but truly it's about the budgeting process is where you're going to say, we are creating the opportunity to hire and put our resources here. And that's where the board kind of involves in staffing.
Yeah, and it's really wonky, and the bigger the school district is, the more the attention, it gets weirder, because can you imagine like Beaverton?
Yeah,
Could you imagine the school board approving individual hires? It's a practice that doesn't scale.
yeah. They should take it out.
Hallelujah.
Do you
I'm
know
right.
somebody that can work on that?
I'll
Down
go
the
talk to
hall,
Stacy, Mike.
perhaps?
Let's get through this funding thing, and then we'll talk about changing that statute.
Just exit, like we delete ours.
Yeah. it'd be
Okay.
Great.
All right, so let's roll through this, oh, no, we did, because those are two sticky points there. So everybody is clear. It sounds like approving staff is a formality
Mhm.
based on an old statute.
And just an FYI, when the last 2 years, whenever we've had a big position needing to be filled in Dr. Bernal's weekly report outs, she has always put in information on where they're at, what's going on. So, I mean, it's not like we don't know all the details, but we know where the process is moving towards.
Right. Yeah, that is happening.
Yeah.
Something's happening. Yes, very good. Okay. Everybody feel comfortable about that? David, are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay.
I do have a question. Am I understanding that that there's no like table of organization that specifies what roles we have at what buildings match with what equipment? It's all through the budgeting cycle.
Well, it's interesting. Jose just talked about looking at the financials per building. So
Right.
is there a per building look?
We have the
Yeah.
25, 26 adopted budget.
Yeah.
It's broken down by
FTE.
by
By
school, by
building.
department, by
Yeah.
building,
Yeah, by fund and
by
everything.
fund and everything.
I think it's like this
Yeah, I
fat.
think-
Yes,
Yes,
it's,
I have a copy of that for some reason.
That's the
And
line
it's-
So
by line.
I can show that
and I
to you.
believe
and
it's
we can look it
hyperlinked
up.
at the bottom of the weekly updates that
Yeah.
Dr. Bernal sends as well.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, because I guess the mental model that I have in my head is that you would generally have a table of organization and equipment related to an operation. And so based on the student population, you would have to increase the number of classrooms for that cohort, for example, or which would increase the number of teachers and assistants and all the resources related to that then would drive budget decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then when we're approving the hires during the meeting, we would be able to look at the table of organization, know, okay, we're filling that slot. Like it's just a slot that the
Yeah.
district has to fill.
That is
Construction guy.
interesting, and maybe that's work session content to know, are we on track? Are we,
Or it might not be filling a position because you have a larger cohort leaving the elementary to the middle school, but you have a smaller
Yeah.
kindergarten cohort coming in.
Following the bubble.
And so you're actually
Right.
shifting staff
yeah.
internally because the numbers are moving and shifting, but you're not growing in enrollment.
Right,
Your enrollment's the
Moving
same,
around.
it's just the cohorts are moving.
Mhm.
So it could be
Yeah,
shifting of
because as a
staff
district, we
internally.
decided to provide 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school, 1 high school, and then other buildings for other programs like innovations. But if we needed another elementary school for example, because of population growth, I feel like that table of organization would help drive that. Or if we had to consolidate somehow.
Is that something Dan would make?
My staff and I would work on that.
A visual table of organization, just so there was kind of this, here's a picture of this school, here's a picture of this. Yeah, that's fun. Anything that improves communication around those and,
I mean, it's pretty, if you look at the adopted budget though, if you go through, you can see.
where things are going. Yeah. Okay. I have a copy of that, David, if you're curious. I
Karen,
can-
do you guys put demographics in the beginning of your budget document?
Mhm.
So that might be a good place to put that.
So, so that was called, tell me again, it was the schedule of what?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what was it that,
I call it the table of equipment and organization
organization.
or organization equipment.
It sounds, is he, his background's construction, isn't it?
military?
Oh, yeah, military, yeah, that's,
Orchard, military,
got it.
factory, fabricator
yep.
person, engineer.
Engineer.
Yeah, table of organization by facility would be fascinating.
Yeah, you could also put physical assets on there. There's all sorts of things that you can plug on. That'd be kind of cool.
Okay, might be
Actually,
a good
we would have been the
illustration.
long-range facilities report too. Are you guys doing?
We're in the middle of it.
Yeah, that might be a cool report in that, cool chunk in that report as well.
Mhm. Cool, thank you, David. Okay, we'll look forward to that conclusion of that somewhere, somehow. Okay, review the board operating agreement. That is also in here. This is online as well and on the website. Has everybody, it's from 2024, it's not that old. This is something that OSBA recommends that you have. So I'm sure it was developed as a result of some engagement with OSBA or determining to do it. Does it look boilerplate to you, Vince?
No, it is not
No, this is-
boilerplate.
this is-
I mean, I see a lot of familiar language.
We've
but
had
this is not
since
boilerplate.
Steve and I got on the board and we've just kind of been refining.
Oh, okay, so
I would
it's
say
pretty,
Refining it.
it
based
goes way
on-
back.
I think the most recent bullet points that were added, so at the bottom of page 1,
The social media.
the social media, and the bullet point on top of page 2. That, I think in the last iteration, maybe not when we adopted in 24, would have been the one prior to that. We added that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's been an annual thing that we have done as a board since before I came on.
When did you
So-
do it? The last 2024, so it's 2025. Would we, in the spring, we would expect to do it again?
I think we did it that late, but normally what we had been doing, and we kind of got off rhythm, is that this was an item that we would do, review together at a retreat, and then whenever that next regular board meeting, we would formally adopt it, and then we would sign off
Yeah,
as a group and inclusive of superintendent. And I think in our most recent iterations, I think we even have our student reps acknowledge it as well.
yeah, it mentions that, yeah, because it does say that board and student reps.
Mhm.
So,
Madam Chair, I draw your attention to the proposed development plan.
Yeah.
It has a session or half of a session dedicated to review of this document. And I would say this conversation is consequential and an important step for the board, particularly with a new iteration of the board, to have these conversations, go through these in a detailed way. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're presenting it here, but I would recommend giving some additional time to actually go through this in detail and have a deeper conversation about each of the elements of this.
Mhm. What about the timing of that?
I would recommend sooner rather than later. I mean, it's important that this leadership team come to consensus on how you'd like to operate together.
Yeah,
And so I think, yeah, soon would be good. Next month or late this month.
Did you reference a different document just now than this?
I referenced the one that I sent the board a couple weeks ago.
I didn't get an email from you.
Oh, I'm
it's in
sorry.
here, it's in here somewhere. in
In
the
your-
I
packet.
apologize.
Packet there.
It's in the packet
Do you
somewhere.
need your notes?
I'll-
Oh, yeah, so,
I'll-
yeah, it
I'll-
looks like
I can
that,
get that.
so,
No
okay.
problem.
So, okay, so yeah, Vince, I agree, that's why I put it on here. So then the question is, it's like, is this the time, or is this like a 2-hour work session all on its own and Carolyn doesn't have to be here suffering through it? The other thing I also
I would say that she's part of the leadership
will
team.
have to
should be part
suffer
of it.
through.
It's not suffering for me. It's an important document because it's how we all work together.
I would also include your administrative professional in that because she
Yeah.
works directly with board members.
So one thing I also noticed, because I read this a long time ago before going to OSBA, and I got to OSBA, he said, well, there's the board operating agreement, there's a superintendent operating agreement. And I'm like, asked Jose, do we have a superintendent operating agreement? And he
Yeah.
said, no, we just have this. And
Just do
then,
a singular.
and then I read it, and it's like, the only thing, the superintendent has one activity, and it's the very beginning, and all the rest is the board. All the rest is the board. So it's like, this is a board operating agreement, it's not a superintendent operating agreement. And we learned at OSBA that there are superintendent operating agreements. And I assume that's a best practice,
It
or
is
do we even need to, because it's all outlined and,
historically consultants with OSBA have facilitated 2 separate documents. More recently, we've kind of put them all together. So having all components of the leadership team mentioned and included in a single document. And that would be my advocation.
okay?
But if the board wants to do a separate board superintendent agreement, I'm happy to facilitate that as well. Or
Yeah,
or
I
support you in
mean,
any
yeah,
way.
it came up at OSBA, so it
How,
seemed like a thing.
how is that different than her contract that she has with the school
Yeah.
district? Are they completely different ways that we're to look at it, or isn't the contract that's in place enough? And with this on top of it?
Good question. So the purpose of an operating agreement really is to lift out 2 things. One are the good things that the board is doing, or it's kind of a message in a bottle to the new board, what the past board had that was good and they want you to keep doing, and also the things that you want to work on. So clearly, building social capital for this board is something that you guys need to work on. So there'll be components of that in the new agreement, and should be, because it's something you need to work on. So,
This seems to be kind of a, how we interact, just kind of,
mhm.
what do we call it? Rules of engagement.
Sure.
Right, kind of, rules of engagement. We're not, I mean, if you were doing a mediated conversation, it'd be no interrupting, or.
Yeah.
Or in a classroom, it's raise your hand, right?
So that's the difference
How do we
between
talk
the
to each other? How do we communicate?
contract. And sometimes we see agreements where they're referencing, other documents like policy, statute, or could be a contract as well.
Okay. So,
This is David.
yeah,
I'm just thinking about this and conceptualizing it. So the operating agreement would be more like an AR and just kind of like outlining the process and which we go about doing things.
In a way, yeah.
In order to meet the requirements of the contract.
Yeah, in a way, yes. That's
yeah,
it's technically not an AR, so it doesn't live in your
Right.
policies.
It's not that.
It's lives separate from that, but it's a way to think about it. It's procedural language.
how we expect to behave. I mean, it's like, it was mentioned at the OSBA, how the board shows up influences down the line. And so it's trying to say, here's our agreement, how we're gonna show up.
It's like an MOU.
There you go.
Yeah,
MOU.
Let's throw more acronyms at it.
Memorandum of understanding.
Okay, so is this not the time to dig in? I don't know.
I defer to the board's wisdom.
Okay,
Maybe if we
yeah,
have time at the end.
say again?
Maybe if we have time at the end.
Yeah.
And I just have a question. So this is basically like a guide that you're providing to us, like if we wanted to fine tune our current operating agreement, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, that would be a facilitated session, so what I'm offering is to facilitate a conversation with the board, walking through this document, finding out what's missing, what needs to be in there, and then what adjustments need to be made.
And because you had referenced that OSBA has something else specific to superintendents, is there a separate template similar to this that mostly references the superintendent, that we can marry everything together?
Yeah, well, I do, there's plenty of templates for,
Would you be willing to share
Because
that?
the
Of
two
course,
documents,
yeah.
the two documents, basically, there's one that would just be how the 7 of us interact,
Yeah.
and then there'd be another one,
for
second
our
one would be
total
the
interaction.
7 with the superintendent.
I
Where
know.
like, I think the legwork in my mind, if I'm understanding the conversation, to Betsy's point earlier is, you know, in terms of the board superintendent, is only in that first section. So I think some homework, would be to look at the templated OSBA
And if
one and look at how we expand the front section of ours to have a all-inclusive,
Just
7
one
of us
document.
are agreeing to this, and then the board is agreeing to this with the superintendent in the singular document.
And then do you have anything specific also to student representatives? Because that's included in here.
no, I don't, that is, yeah, that's new territory for us, but that's a really good idea. I would be happy to dive into that and start thinking about that. Is that something that the board is interested in?
Well, sure. I
I
mean,
think if we're
how
gonna spend
common are they?
the time, I think that, like now with that comment, like I'm almost thinking it needs to be 3 sections, right? One,
One is
at the
just
start
for-
is board and superintendent, that's one bucket. The next bucket is the 7 of us as a board, that's the second. The third is then how the student reps kind of fit
Yeah.
within the world of the other 2 buckets.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, if we're going to include students in the operating agreement, I think it's very important that students be present at this session and be able to fully
craft that.
participate.
Totally agree there, yeah.
I like that.
And I'm happy to go there, I mean, but
I just have a clarifying question, only because I had recently sent Stephanie my headshot, and I was looking at our board member page, and there was a slot for a 3rd student representative that I wasn't aware of, and our
Oh, yeah.
policy says only 1 or 2, but now we have 3, and I don't know that
Policy
we've
was
been aware of
updated,
it.
actually.
policies updated.
It's been updated. It was updated in the spring.
Is it just not updated on the website? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Why did we add 3 or 1 more?
Because we wanted to make sure we had representation from both schools, and we had some really highly qualified candidates, and we didn't want to limit.
The policy that I read, I thought I pulled it right from the website, said 1 or 2 from the Dallas High School or Innovations Academy. So it sounds like we've expanded. So.
Okay, so there's up to 3, so we have 3, right? Yeah, we have 3, so
I
that's,
don't think we've met.
No, she was sick.
No, she was
She was
sick.
yeah, there are a total of 3, actually, yeah. Okay, so I appreciate your idea, Jose, it's really nice. 3 buckets, a board and superintendent interaction, a board between themselves, the expectations of how we will engage with each other, and then the student reps, how they engage with the board. Do they engage with the superintendent as much? same kind of
student
thing.
reps, yep.
Well, that's okay. It's good fun for Vince too. Vince, are student reps common? On boards?
Increasingly, historically they haven't been,
Yeah,
but more and more school boards are really interested in getting student voice into their governance.
okay,
So we're seeing, there's a
Yeah.
lot that are doing it.
okay, so
and
it's
I
a good
think-
project then.
And I have not heard of anybody including them in their operating agreement. So you guys are,
Well, they're at
cutting
the
a new
table.
path.
What do you do with them? Yeah,
I think it's a great idea.
yeah, it's part of their, I guess, their exposure and training. Okay, so a work session that involves them.
Yeah.
right? And so, got it. And you'll send us some templates
Sure
of
will.
supers and okay,
And pro as well. Yeah, I will get template language or homework, or so for the school board component, we have worksheets for that. But and for the superintendent, I'll get you templates and I'll develop some language for student representatives. But I'll grab your policy, and it's creative work. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'll figure it out.
yeah, and I would expect it would be, mentioning like you are a board member, follow the other stuff, but you
Yeah.
uniquely have this thing to do.
Yeah, good to do it.
Do the current board members have any comments on how this has functioned for you, or I appreciate this, or I don't ever look at it, or I disagree with that, or any parts of it that you're gonna need a little harder look?
I like it because to me, it's a very concise document that kind of tries to distill the binders that is all our policies and all, like, it's just a very simplified version. Not to say we don't reference a policy or whatever, but to me, it simplifies a lot of the complexity in things.
Yeah.
It makes it kind of very digestible and in a very understandable format.
Right.
In the yearly review, at least for me, seems like a good interval for review and discussion.
About, so the retreat
Of
timing.
the document, yeah.
Renata, is this agreement, oh, here it is, right here. It's right there. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, could we, so we're talking about then getting Vince's input, having a work, thank you, Carolyn, Dr. Bernal.
Oh.
Adding, creating a meeting, another meeting, essentially, another work session, or
You
added,
should do it online. You can have an online work session.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Like if it's difficult for people all to get together, you could do a separate work session online.
Yeah, if everybody's done their homework, doing that virtually actually is really nice, because then I can throw a document up in front of you
Yeah,
on the screen and we can wordsmith right in the middle of it.
okay, and then it kind of solves the issue of having to, you can just record it.
Mhm.
You don't have to do extra screens and films
Like
and,
virtual.
okay. So, so the objective then would be to a virtual work session to work on this. The approach is the 3 buckets that Jose suggested, and Vince will help us identify bits and pieces for that.
Yeah.
And then we can come to an agreement on that. Okay, woo! Then the next item that we had was to look at the superintendent evaluation process. And again, we went to the OSBA. And then I found this
Oh.
book, and and one of the things it talks about is the timeline. And so it's like, oh my gosh, we're behind. So this board has been behind. Get-go.
Okay, but don't panic.
Okay,
You're fine.
okay. But question to the former board members, what, did you use the same tool? Or what did you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I think early on when David and I came on, I think that first year or so, we had it facilitated by OSBA a year or two, and then we kind of felt comfortable, and then we kind of took it on from there.
okay, because,
And then-
yeah.
But the timeline never really fit some of just our schedule,
Mhm.
so we didn't fully adhere to that. But in terms of the other element, like standards and how we went about that, we
Mhm.
kind of did adopt, so it's been a modified version of that, that we've kind of been doing.
In timeline,
Mhm.
okay.
May I ask what in the prescribed timeline didn't jive with us? Like, were there pain points around that? What wasn't aligning?
Well, this timeline, I love
Is
Gina.
it a bit atrocious?
It is really hard to understand. And I wish I have a search calendar that I can send I will put that on my list of things.
Thank you.
Search calendar, or not search calendars, evaluation calendar.
From what I remember, we would have to change things like our retreat, and a few other things to kind of, because right now, like, we don't have a good flow, for example. So like the timing of our retreat has always been in the fall.
Or August, or was it fall?
August, late summer, starting, I mean, it's kind of fluctuated depending on various factors. But like, to me, like, there needs to be some consideration of that more in-depth discussion relative to even like budgeting. And like, there's some elements that I think if you step back and look at that, and that's where we've always struggled, like, and we've had to do kind of a different timeline on that, because they all go together, right? But like the way we have things on a calendar haven't aligned, so, and we've never taken the time to look at it holistically from my lens in terms of like, okay, how should this sequence really go, right? Because a lot of it informs the other, right? Because an evaluation is also not only just the evaluation, but it's also a good opportunity to reflect and look back, hey, what do we want to work on or improve together, that then starts informing all the other things downstream, right?
Yeah.
And that's the work that we just hadn't done until we've just kind of made things fit based on all the other things that have kind of their defined moments.
So if we
Throughout
took
the
our
academic year.
retreat back 3 months or so, would that
I think that's a
better
good,
align?
exercise for us to look at. I mean,
I think with your project management.
Yeah.
That screams to me, Jose.
I have put thought, not
Fine.
recently, but yes.
I mean,
Like, I
the year
think,
we did our retreat in July, that year flowed really.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Because we did it in July, which set up for the entire.
Yeah, school year, and it's soon enough after the close of the school year, soon enough after the end of an evaluation period that it's still kind of all like, okay, where'd we go? Where do we need to go? So I would agree,
Yeah, thanks for that.
As long
That
as we're not
July-
on fire.
July would
As
be
long
a
as we're
great
not on
retreat.
fire.
Yes.
we're just gonna find a different building.
Oh, some on fire, oh, true. So, trying to calendarize a July retreat. And even, I mean, we could do that now in a way, couldn't we? I mean, you know, important dates are put that far out so
Well,
that
it would
people
be
plan
on
around
your-
them.
It'd be on the
And it
next
would be on
calendar.
your next adoption of your calendar.
Yeah.
meeting dates.
Okay, so, and I have that somewhere in a thingy.
I mean, you have set calendar dates through June.
Yeah.
So when you adopt your calendar for 26, 27, you would have it included in those dates.
And would we do that at our next meeting perhaps?
Typically, I think it's like
No, it's usually in
February,
the spring.
Oh.
When you approve it.
March.
So we would add plus a July retreat. I would love to pick a date now, frankly, but is it during the week or is it on a weekend? What do you do?
Usually during the week.
Okay. Like middle of the month. Sometime. Not too close to the fourth.
Whatever works for everyone else.
Yeah. Okay.
So another date that anchors this process is the contractual date in the
Yeah,
superintendent.
April 30th.
April 30th, which
Yeah,
is
gotta be
really
done.
nice. Thank you, Carolyn. It's Dr. Bernal.
What?
For negotiating for a later evaluation deadline, because it just makes the year more spacious.
Oh, so,
Most typically, it's March 15th.
Yeah, with staff.
Yeah, it coincides with staff.
Yeah.
because those are when you need to be done with them. So we could, instead of it, I mean, the contract says by April 30th, we could just say, well, by April 30th means March 15th. Or Or is that, I mean,
It can be sooner.
yeah,
It just can't be
exactly.
Yeah,
Can't be later.
correct.
It just gives us more time.
It just gives you more time.
Mhm.
I mean, essentially your April board meeting is like your deadline to
Yeah,
Mhm.
do your evaluation statement. Which is earlier than April 30th.
so if we start thinking of March as the date, and so the March meeting is, March 12th is a regular meeting. There's a work session in February. Okay, so by March 12th, we could be announcing, right? Yay, nay?
Or you could be providing the superintendent her evaluation. That's the contractual part, is the
Yeah.
actual ratings and narratives.
Yeah,
It's given in an executive session. That's the obligation that's in the contract. And once you pass that, then you've met your contractual obligation. And then thereafter, there's a public summary that's, read. But the document that goes into her HR, I'm sorry, I'm really tired. HR file.
HR file.
That's
Yeah.
the part that's pertinent to the contract.
the official goodies there.
Mhm.
So targeting March for that, meaning that we have to have a process that starts with these forms. I mean, how long does it take to execute one of these? Gets sent out by somebody.
So we had
Yeah,
discussed in our last meeting that you were going to have me facilitate this year's
okay,
process.
Yeah.
So I use a survey tool to collect information from board
Yeah.
members. And then I synthesize that into an evaluation document that celebrates success and then provides constructive feedback and makes clear the board's expectations on performance on the superintendent's goals and the standards within this workbook.
do you
So-
also, so we also learned at OSBA
Mhm.
that we can do a targeted survey.
Targeted feedback
And
survey.
I don't think
Mhm.
that's been done for a while. Have you had that experience? Not for a while? Okay, so that would be also, I think, part of the package this
Yep.
year. So that could take, and so what time do we need to call Vince and say, let's get started? Or Vince will know and he'll call us.
We'll probably want to have the TFS to go out somewhere in January,
January, okay.
you
So,
know, and it'll be out for 2-3 weeks depending. And then I'll pull that together. And then when the superintendent gives her self-evaluation, I'll report the TFS at the same time. And then when we go ahead and create the evaluation document, I'll bring that TFS report back again.
all right, so we're gonna get fed this year.
Yeah.
Okay,
Make your lives easy.
thanks, Vince.
My pleasure.
Okay, so we're
Fun.
gonna start in January with the targeted. We are going to then, then between then and March 5th, 12th, basically, March 12th, do our own evals. And it sounds like also that Carolyn will do her self-eval.
When is your February meeting?
What? Say it
Sorry,
again?
your February meeting. Renata's scrambling, trying to.
It is the 19th is the regular meeting,
19.
and there's a
2/19.
work session on the 12th.
Or 2/12, okay. So, yeah, we could have TFS out in January and then be back in one of those February meetings, do your self-evaluation, report the TFS, and then come back on March 12th, do the evaluation. And that gives us plenty of time if we need to pull another meeting to pull
Okay,
if we need another round with it, we have time for that.
okay. All right. Yay. Okay, that's our goal then.
That's perfect, that's great.
Okay.
I'll put holds on both of those dates and then.
And then as I was reading through this, it was helpful for me, instead of just saying, I'm gonna see this document.
The community and growing and economically bringing more vitality to our school district and our city.
Mhm. So collaboration, I guess collaboration for us is increasing the collaboration with this group and getting cohesion there and vulnerability and trust, and then being able to go out into the community and do the same. And,
Yes.
and gotta do it no matter what, because you're always gonna be looked upon it with skepticism, because schools are kind of like, unless you're mad, you're not looking. And so it's harder to get your voice out and to tell people good stories or to counteract bad ones and whatever. So,
Yeah, and I think good ways to build trust are, like, I don't think aggressive is the right word, but aggressive communication, where you're communicating success and acknowledging weaknesses on a regular basis so that the community can see that you're working on the things you need to be working on as an organization.
yeah. I think that goes well.
By doing that, you're able to stay ahead of the negativity in the rumor mill. So you're always going to have that, but
Yeah, and we have unique situations in our community around that.
right.
And need strategies to engage that, to manage it or whatever. So those voices will always be loud and difficult. But
Yeah, they will.
yeah,
But having a strategy around the information domain,
Yeah.
I think is one way that we can build trust and earn trust with the community.
right. So I do see part of the collaborations, there are part of the collaboration goal. One strategy is more work sessions to develop our ability to converse and talk and figure out what we're trying to do. So that's one element of collaboration. Another is trying to understand how we are going, because ultimately collaboration is a trust goal, right? If you collaborate, you work together, you have trust, or you build trust. And so how are we going to engage in the community? What are the plans for that? And I don't know, and Carolyn, you can speak to this. Do we have, media plans? Do we have, what do we want to call it? Communication plans and stuff like that. And to be conscious, like, are they being effective, or, are they good enough, or whatever?
I do.
So, if I may, going back to the development plan, that's why I pulled out community engagement. That was definitely a theme that was strong. The board lifted out of there. And so really the last parts of this plan really all hang together, and it speaks to this whole, you're trying you're emphasizing collaboration. All these things require that. When I say engagement, I'm using that in the technical sense. I'm a recovering extension agent. So and when we say engagement, that's a reciprocal relationship. So you're communicating out, sharing successes of the district, sharing what's going on, and then bringing community into your governance processes. And so having a session to learn from staff, what is staff already doing? How does staff engage in community?
Yeah.
And then figuring out, coming to consensus as a team, what does community engagement mean to you? Because when we scratch the surface, you'll recall back to our session, when we scratched the surface of this, we had multiple opinions about what that looked like. And so really getting a clear idea of how this board wants to engage the community, what channels are going to work for you, because it's going to be different for each team. And getting clear on that. The other piece here is that technical learning, in particularly around teaching and learning. That's the content piece, because when you go out in the community, you need a story to tell. And so, and your superintendent, received that message from the board from our last session and has embedded that into her superintendent goals. Is that something that she wants to do with you, is share, the success and the work that the district is doing, so that you have a story to tell, so that by the spring, you guys can have your own plan and get out there and actually start advocating and being cheerleaders for your district. So yeah, all this kind of, while I didn't pull out collaboration explicitly,
Yeah,
it's embedded
that's
into
the
this.
point of it.
And maybe that's
And,
a. I should
yeah,
have done
so I
that.
was looking for a collaborative activity.
Sure.
Also looking for, we talked about the importance of making decisions based on metrics. And I believe that is somewhere in here.
Yeah, this is a teaching and learning piece.
Yeah. So that's a metric piece. The other one that is near and dear to me, and I don't know anything about it or how to make it happen, other than it makes sense to me, is how do you budget from the classroom up? Having read about those models and approaches to budgeting, how does that happen? And maybe it does happen. How would I know, right? So having not participated in a budget process, maybe you can speak to this about budgeting from the classroom up.
I don't,
So that was personal to me.
yeah, I mean, that specific
not here.
reference, I don't know. I mean, I think in the context, bringing it back to the bullet point of board goals, I think really what I'm hearing throughout the conversation tonight and the other night that we had, like literally we have a singular goal. And that is to learn and develop as a board. If I were like to distill it down, and one avenue to do that is kind of these development items that Vince has identified from our last conversation. I
Yeah.
mean, this seems to me like it's just gonna be a full year of learning
Oh,
and
yeah.
growth as a board. And as you do that, or we do that, that touches on a lot of the collaboration and kind of working with each other and everything. And I'm a fan of just KISS method all the way, keep it simple.
Yeah,
Yep.
you are, aren't you?
So
Don't overcomplicate it.
No.
Okay. All right. So in these board governance essentials, let's go through this real quick, shall we?
Sure.
So the first one, board governance essentials. With new members joining training, I mean, that's what we're doing right now. Thank you for participating with us. Ensured all members began with a shared understanding of their roles and responsibility. That's what we did as part of the training. It's ongoing. Teamwork, clarity of the governance role, alignment with the balanced governance standards. Those are the 12 things. Yeah.
Balanced governance standards, yep.
12 things. And the desired outcome of what we hope then, or what we will do, is establish a common foundation for effective board service, reinforcing that the board's focus is on students, policy, and accountability rather than management of day-to-day operations. Check.
Yep.
Operating agreement and.
So before you move on that one, I think,
Please.
what I just wanted to add is that I think we've already been showing this. There was a good group of us that were at summer board
Yeah.
conference coming up. I know Renata earlier, maybe that was last week, had sent about the upcoming opportunity in November, which is convention in Portland. So I think continuing to seek those opportunities where a lot of this information is available to us. I think if we continue that, that will help kind of reinforce this element of that. For those that may not, from a schedule standpoint, be able to attend those. I think the other thing just to be aware of, within OSBA's website, there is a member portal. And so there are a lot of webinars and topics that you can go to on your own time. So if, again, like you don't go to summer, like a lot of those same things that you hear live in person and have that ability to attend are also available on that. That's been useful for some board members in the past that just have that constraint of not being able to attend a certain event, but they have taken it upon themselves to still be able to learn that information on their own. And one of the cool things about that is that you do get recognized depending on the level of achievement at annual convention. So.
Oh, and we're gonna announce our new program. I'm gonna sneak preview it. You can't tell anyone.
Oh, it's changing.
No, we're adding an honors board program. So if you do a certain set of activities, you get recognized as a whole board.
Oh.
So if you're doing all the right things,
Not only individually, but now.
not individually now, so
Well, that makes more sense anyway, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, we want individual learning, but we
Yeah.
have, but we want,
Yeah,
That's cool.
but we also want you as whole boards to be
right,
walking the
right,
walk.
coming up on the same,
Yeah,
yes,
and
When
it's
is that
perfect
launching?
sense.
what,
When is that launching?
at annual convention.
Yeah,
I wasn't supposed to tell you,
we don't
We know
know.
nothing.
but I couldn't help
Yeah,
because you were talking about it. You're, I mean,
Exactly.
No,
that's-
that fits right within.
But
you
this
Yeah.
what
said,
we've been
what if
talking
we,
about.
what if we
Maybe
did an
we include
honors
that
board
in-
day?
so like a superintendent evaluation. That's one of the things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
Board self-assessment,
We could get
strategic
points.
plan, all those things that boards should be doing.
So we
Yeah.
can include achieving that as a.
You can certainly work towards it. And then once you achieve it, it lasts for 2 years. And then
makes
you,
sense,
then
because
you
you're getting
refresh.
people on and off and
And all
stuff.
you have to do is show proof. So you just hand in your strategic plan, your superintendent evaluation, all that stuff. And then we go check, 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 and then you get it.
Okay.
And yeah, we haven't figured out what you're gonna get. Like
We're
a
not ready
pin.
yet, Vince, but thanks for
You're gonna
telling
get
us.
there. You're gonna
We
get
like
there.
pins.
Pins?
We
Oh,
love the
pens.
pens.
Really good
We
pens.
only
You get
care
the
about
gold
the
pen.
pen.
No.
Yeah, just a sheet of pens would be fine. Okay, well, that's fun. Okay, thank you. And they're all always sending out, there are different legislative webinars and stuff that are coming up all the time.
If there are specific topics like finance that you're interested in, although it's not gonna speak directly to that classroom to
Yeah,
upward, but the board's role in finance, we have webinars on that. I'm
Yeah.
happy to grab the link and share it with you guys.
Yeah. It looks like,
There's even one out there on budgets. I just took.
Haven't
the
you
other
done
one.
like all of them?
Yeah, pretty much, I have.
Get the one that's Jackie Olson. Don't watch the webinar where it's me teaching it because
Got it.
Jackie Olson's so much better.
thanks, Vince.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, then going on, thank you, Jose, appreciate that. Operating agreement and effective meetings. Board functions best, commits shared agreements, run meetings in a way that support collaboration and focus by combining the development of an operating agreement with practical strategies for effective meetings, board strengths, capacity to work together. Yes, okay, so that's what we worked on, number 2.
And I
We have
might,
a plan for that.
I might suggest just chunking the effective meeting stuff. I can support you with meeting stuff offline and really just, particularly if we're gonna bring students into this, really taking time to go through this in a detailed way
Mhm.
with our kiddos.
Okay,
So that's, you guys can decide what you wanna do.
like take it out of here.
The effective meetings piece, I mean, yeah,
Oh, effective meetings.
just strike effective meetings and let's
Oh,
just do the operating agreement
Focus on, because it's
and do it for
in and of itself.
maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and wouldn't operating agreement kind of cover good meetings too? I think
It
some of
can,
ours does.
For sure,
Ours does.
so.
Yeah, it
There are
does.
some, like time limits and
Elements,
other elements of
yeah.
the meeting in there.
Sure.
In the
Yeah.
board, in that, it talks about meetings, so yeah.
Okay.
It's a light touch, but it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. On that, okay. Then community engagement, strong community partners and partnerships, the board benefits from purposeful structures for engaging with community partners, special interests, while ensuring the diverse voices are heard and maintaining clarity about the board's governance role. Desired outcome, we will have a framework for community engagement that is respectful, inclusive, and constructive, reinforcing public trust and ensuring that community input informs the board's visions and goals.
May not be a polished document by the time we're done, but at least the start on a framework.
Yeah, so my question is, how, is this a committee, is this a work, I mean, how do we get here? How do we get to that framework? And do we have something started that's kind of in place that we learned from, or?
I think if you wanted me to lead that, I would want to collaborate with the superintendent on how to structure that. I'm kind of envisioning a hybrid session where we're hearing from staff and what the district is up to so that we're not duplicating effort. And then thinking about what the board is sensing as needs in the community and how to meet those needs. And then maybe roughing out a plan for this year. And then as you guys go deeper into the work, continuing to mature that framework on what you're gonna do.
Yeah, okay. So what I heard is that staff is already working on things. and working a plan.
Absolutely. There are some things they're statutorily required to
Oh,
do.
okay, sure. So,
It's like a two-part, it's learning what's already being done as an informational to bring everyone up to speed.
mhm.
And then have a conversation around, okay, we're doing X, Y, and Z, what do we want to do, if anything, in addition to, or just that conversation.
And then also, it's like, you have board members, how are you gonna leverage them in the same way you leverage staff?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because we have relationships and roles and stuff like that out in the world, right? So.
Yep.
We have a small amount of influence, depending. Okay, so then what I heard is that you guys will rough out the informational piece, and then we could come back together and go, okay, then here, okay, that's happening, I see that, here's where we could add to it, okay?
Yeah, and we'll get the raw input from the board, get ideas on how you guys want to engage, and then we'll go offline, turn that into a document, and then, superintendent can come back to you with that.
Okay, and then, is there a timeline to expect that?
I mean, I wanted to do it this fall. I
Yeah.
mean, it seems like the board is really eager to do this work. So, I mean, I think this operating agreement is higher precedence. I think it's more important, but maybe in December.
So,
I mean, I think, because I see you looking at that sheet,
yeah,
I think
The
what would be nice is to, or probably not tonight, but I think at our next meeting, I think that we look at the overall calendar, look at where we want to fit work sessions,
Yeah.
Mhm.
identify the dates first,
mhm,
and then we can prioritize these.
Yeah.
And then start slotting them in.
mhm, Yeah.
I think that would be a better approach. I think, there's probably a natural cadence as well in addition to prioritization of it. But identifying the dates, because what I'm kind of afraid as I look at that is we may have more items than available slots.
Yes,
Mhm.
correct,
Right.
sir.
And so
That's what
I
I'm
think
looking at
that's gonna
too.
be a discussion of like,
Uh,
okay, what are we really bringing to the forefront in this
Yeah.
year? And then again.
we should prioritize.
What
when
we were
get to
talking
this.
about earlier, if early enough we plan that, hey, we're gonna commit to July of next year
Mhm.
to kick off the next academic year with retreat and stuff and start kind of thinking of that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Do we need to,
No,
please,
I just
anybody
need to
should
stand.
stand, and anybody should stand that wants to stand, and we should have some kind of a recess for standing or a bio break. It's been an hour and a half. Does anybody need a break? We need a brief recess, or we?
No, I'm good. I just
Amazing.
can't sit.
I appreciate you
Chair off.
standing. I hope nobody's offended if I stand for a little bit too. Okay.
Yep.
I totally agree. I feel that stress too. That's why I'm so, what's this
That's
happening?
actually you reaching
I
for it.
don't know. I gotta make this
7
happen.
days and 12 items.
So in light of this and the need to put all of this in there, so superintendent evaluation is gonna happen. We calendarize that for the first quarter of 2025.
And I would say that's highest priority.
Yeah, and so
I
that quarter needs to focus on doing that. So then it leaves this last quarter of this year, which then what do we stick in there?
Well, but for that one, I will say that typically how we've done it, it doesn't really necessitate a work session, so to speak. Because like the evaluations that we do are done offline.
Yeah.
Right?
Right,
So it doesn't.
that's true.
And then. the-
3/12,
the
March
collection of
12th will be a
information-
long meeting.
Yeah, and normally what we've done is we add in addition to our regular meeting and executive session, be able to discuss all that.
Right.
Plus, we also have the summer, even though school's only 3 quarters.
Right.
there's- Summer is the 4th quarter.
But
Also,
I'm sorry, I was just talking evaluation
Yeah,
specific.
no, but I mean, some
We
of the
can-
I'm
other
just saying
stuff-
that wouldn't take
Take up
away
work sessions.
a
No.
date on
Yeah.
the calendar for a
Right.
work session. That's already inherently built in
Correct.
and
Yeah.
added to an already existing regular meeting. It just makes for a longer
Mhm.
day or time.
And the board self-assessment, you could kick that. I could bring back the report in July. You could do the survey in June and I can bring it back
oh,
to July.
that's true. Oh,
You
let's
can
put
kick
that on the
that way
calendar.
out.
Whoa.
Actually,
Oh,
I think
got
that
it.
makes the most sense because that way it'll give the 4 new members a full academic
Yeah.
year of being in service.
Mm-hmm.
and it would probably be more relevant.
Yep.
Having seen a full academic year.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
And then board can set goals, superintendent's gonna bring goals, all in that retreat. It's a perfect time to do that.
In June, you said?
You take the survey in June, but
And
I
then
would.
we put it into the July meeting,
It'd be
Yep.
July retreat.
Mhm.
Let's present. Very
Has to be
good.
in the latter part of July because I'll be busy with vacationing at the beginning of July.
First half, so
Every year,
second half.
every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometime in the
I'd like to
second.
raise my hand.
Yes, David?
Yeah, so I've been reviewing the superintendent evaluation document provided by OSBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it our intent then that we adopt the appendix, I think it's appendix 1, standards 1, 2, 3, et cetera? And if so, do we need to have a work session where we focus on each of those standards and fill in comments on like what the expectations are?
No,
No.
No.
yeah, you'll do that in a survey, offline, so outside of a meeting.
Okay, so we do, then that's later in the year, so we don't like present upfront, like here's a, for lack of better words, an initial counseling of the evaluation. Here's the standards, how to get a 1, how to get a 4. We just do it in the spring.
Oh,
So
I
you,
understand what you're saying.
so you're asking for kind of an
Essentially,
explanation of each of
a
the
training
standards?
on the 12 standards.
We could totally do
and-
that.
And the scoring.
Yeah, we could do that.
Is there a video?
Yeah, we could do a
in the member
virtual on that.
portal?
Yeah,
Couldn't
of
we?
course. I'd be happy to do that.
So we could do a
Okay,
virtual
yeah, 'cause
some,
I think that'd be really valuable
Yeah,
for everyone, so that we're all on the same page on what, right looks like. And then when it comes time to evaluation, there's no surprises.
so what I'm hearing is sometime in February, maybe an online training with Vince on the evaluation.
yeah.
It'd
when
have to
the-
be earlier than that because the the evaluation and the targeted, that's all set for January. It'd have to be before.
We could do it-
We're talking like December.
We could do it in January because the TFS is gonna go out,
While the TFS is out.
Yeah,
is
it can be
out.
out doing its thing,
TFS
independent
plus-
of us.
plus, standards training.
January would, so somewhere in January, insert a virtual standards training.
And my guess is it wouldn't take more than an hour, probably.
Right,
We'd assume it.
on the tool.
I don't even have.
Yeah, I mean, we all
I
have
don't
the
even have
document
bill
as
for
well,
that.
so we
Yeah.
can
That's a
come
great
prepared
suggestion.
after a review and with questions or
Yeah,
should
Okay.
flow them pretty quick.
we could just walk through the indicators. Yeah, happy to do that.
Right. So on this agreement, or on this, our agenda for today, it does talk about adding work session dates in December and January. Just because stuff comes up and you're working on stuff, I guess, right? Or you're following up on things. So would that be in addition to a virtual evaluation standards training? I would hope it would be in addition to, it would just be a meeting sometime.
So before January, I'm gonna need to know which standards the board is gonna wanna, survey on. So that's, so, yeah, and I can,
Out of here?
I can weave that, yeah, so
Okay.
I can weave that into whatever meeting that we're gonna do in December.
December. So you would, because we'd have to know what to pick from, right? Okay.
Yeah, you don't get to survey on all of them.
So in the December, we're talking about a work session in December.
Mm-hmm. On community engagement, I think is what we were thinking.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Community engagement and then picking the select targeted survey
Standards.
standards.
And then you'll also start the conversation of who the respondents will be.
Okay, yeah, who sent it to who? Identify targets. Very good, okay. That's good work. So got some December activity.
So that's gonna be a long meeting.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Get a
because,
hotel room?
maybe. Yeah, No, it's not that far of a drive.
Okay, and it gives time for, step one, how to inform us of the raw intel on what's going on.
Where are you driving from?
Corvallis.
I could go there Sunday.
Yeah.
Pick up a doggy.
Oh, you're going there?
Corgi.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I can't remember the name of the town.
It's around there.
Little bitty town.
Mm. There's a bunch of little towns. Shed. It's probably the smallest town. Peoria.
Shed. In November, do we want to have that virtual meeting, set up a virtual work session with Vince where we invite the students and ourselves, and Vince talks us through a board operating agreement with our.
I
This
think
is good.
instead of looking at it individually, I think being that we're on the 9th and our upcoming regular meeting's on the 23rd,
Mhm.
I think as you guys work together on the agenda for the 23rd,
Mhm.
to work on a revised schedule for the year,
Mhm.
board meeting calendar, and
Mhm.
have dates kind of that we can review.
Yeah, would love that.
Because it needs to also be considered staff time. And so having a broader look and then schedules, and then we can have a meaningful, looking at a full revised calendar would be helpful on the 23rd.
Okay, so. Do you got that, Renato?
So for the
Try-
upcoming.
Upcoming, look at, yeah, so that we're, a revised calendar for the year.
Board meeting calendar, not school calendar.
Yeah, for me calendar.
Don't change the school calendar.
No. So, yeah, so we can look at that. I think that's next week that we'll chat about that. So, okay, so because we're adding a lot of things, I'd throw on the January work session, doesn't mean we have to have it,
I mean,
but at least
the other
calendarize.
thing I'll say, it seems very easily that we're shifting into a board that meets twice a month, the second
Mhm.
and third
Yes,
or
right.
fourth, whatever week.
Yeah.
Of the month.
Except for holidays, yeah,
And then the months with holidays is where it gets kind of wonky a little bit.
yeah, always, which is November and
November and December.
December.
In March. We got spring break.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Sky.
Cookie in there.
May you have what?
What?
Skyo.
And the
Yeah,
budget
exactly,
process.
so that quarter is
Oh,
kind of
Zion,
wrong
yeah, it's
by
all,
that
that's
too,
East
so
Valley,
that's,
yeah.
so the time for work sessions really is, yeah,
December and January are pretty much the only,
yeah,
Used to
and that's
work
the
with
end
them
of
if you
more.
wanted
work
it every
session.
2 weeks,
There's a couple
those are the
trainings with
only
them,
2
yeah.
dates.
Yeah,
We've
That
had
first week of December and that first
our
week
because
of
then
last
all
group
of
of
this
quarters
is,
we
that
had were
quarter is
from
taken up,
her.
quarter two
She
is
was
taken
with
up
the
with
breeder we
budgets.
went to, and
So, no work sessions
they
there.
turned out
Okay.
something we wanted to try.
So I would calendarize,
We went the brown and
the
white,
second
so
January,
that's cool.
work session, just like the second Thursday in
It would
January.
be the first,
Say again,
it would be the first in January,
Would it?
the week we come back because of, I think when
yeah,
I
whatever,
sent you those dates.
find a date, and
I
then,
sent you the dates already
Okay.
that we could do.
so throw it in, and if we don't have anything, or it's a snow day, or, but if it's important, we can do it.
Yeah, it would be January
It's not, you
8th.
can just move to virtual.
Yes, virtually, thank you. I like the virtual work session plus. So we'll add one to January as well. Okay, yay. I think it's fair to go on to the superintendent goals. Do you think?
Great.
Do we have that calendar in December? We gotta add a December date for a work session. Okay. All right, Carolyn, or Dr. Mel, you have the floor.
So I've drafted 3 goals. The first goal is about improving student attendance and reducing our chronic absenteeism. About 62% of our students attend school on a regular basis. Our chronic absentee rate is around 18 to 19%, meaning we have a large number of our students, over 1,000 of our students are missing 10% or more of their instructional days on an annual basis. So we're working really hard to target that and decrease our chronic absentee rate. So I've set some targets, and I'm working with my principal team to set some school-based goals around targeting attendance improvement within their schools. And we have established this year attendance teams at each of our schools that are working closely with our director of prevention and intervention and our data specialists to track data. And then also working with our youth outreach workers as part of that team to collaborate in those efforts. So, and obviously it's relevant because if kids aren't in seats, we can't teach them. And therefore our academic achievement is not gonna move if they're not here.
Yeah. So Ken,
No, go
tell
ahead.
me when you're ready and we can ask a question.
Go ahead.
Baseline data collected this month, mid-year review, final eval of the goal. So,
It's also a longitudinal performance growth target.
right, one of those L's. Okay, love it.
Attendance.
LCPTs. I don't even know what they are.
LPGT, longitudinal performance growth target. It's one of the state targets
Love it.
that were measured.
So decrease it by at least 10%, 10% of 19% or
10% of,
To
so when we
10%.
get our baseline, when we get our
Yeah.
baseline number for this year, so
Mhm.
how many of our kids are chronically absent, meet the definition of being chronically absent, so the 10% or more, our target would be to decrease that number by 10%.
Okay. So if you had 500 kids that were 10% that, 50 less. And then, so,
And then we want to increase the number of our kids that are coming regularly and get some of our ones that aren't chronically absent, but also aren't attending regularly.
Yeah.
So they're in that middle.
there you go.
We want to get them and target them.
Okay,
and get
increase
them
their,
up into the
yes.
90% or more
Okay, very good.
category.
So what gave you
Alarm clocks.
so this is a weird question, but what makes you think you can do it? I mean, that's a poor way of saying it, but what gives you the confidence or the courage to tackle this as a goal or think that it could be done? I mean, what is it based on? You didn't pull it out of thin air
No.
because you must have some
I mean, it's one of the things we're measured by the state.
strategies. Yeah,
And we know that if kids aren't coming to school on a regular basis, our achievement scores
exactly.
are not going to
It's-
move.
Yeah,
So before you can tackle your achievement, you got to tackle the problem before
Showing
it,
up.
which is getting kids in school.
Do we know why they're not? Are they
Oh, we have a
Look
lot
at
of
everything,
different
or-
data around everything.
working,
Variety of reasons.
finding things in people's
I think,
garages?
post-COVID,
Yeah.
school has, we're not the only district experiencing
right,
chronic
obviously,
absenteeism.
Oregon,
This is
yeah.
across Oregon, across the nation. It's everywhere. Everyone is experiencing
Yeah.
this, where school doesn't seem to be as much of a
Important.
priority
right. Yeah,
anymore.
right, yeah. Because they live without it for a little bit. Okay, we're still alive, look at us. Yeah. No, I think it's a courageous goal and it's a good goal. So, and so usually when you pick goals, it's because you think you can get there. Yeah. And that you have ideas and thoughts about how to do that. So, yeah. No, that's awesome. Okay, and it's an LPGT.
Second goal is supporting and strengthening superintendent board collaboration capacity to understand and use educational data for informed decision-making. This is all about my staff and I helping the board not improve, but grow in their knowledge of technical education, language, and how to understand student achievement data.
Great.
So I listed out how we're going to measure that. We do have 3 board work sessions already on the calendar that are all around data.
Mhm.
And so we'll be taking you through that. I'm going to create like a little pre and post assessment for you all. So we're going to give you a little pre-assessment. We'll send
What
out-
we know.
Send out to you, like, what do you know
Tricky.
about?
I just gotta say, that's really cool.
Well, we're going to give you a little
When I read that, I
pre-assessment.
was like, that's so cool.
It's okay. We're just going to be like, what is your knowledge? So at
Yeah.
this current
Well, that'll
time.
help
And what's your
inform
comfort?
And then
the
after
conversation.
you've
Yeah.
gone through all of our
Yeah.
work sessions, we'll give you a post and see. My hope is that we
No, that
increase
makes
your
sense.
baseline by 30%.
30%,
I mean, if you do better than that, great.
yeah.
It'll be
We
awesome.
want to
If
be
you're
an
all
honors
100%,
board,
it'll be
right?
Great.
That's right, you do.
But the reason this is relevant is because we know that when boards understand the technical education data and know how to understand student achievement and the district's strategic goals, student performance goes up.
Ah, look at that.
So we'll have a baseline assessment coming up in November.
Okay, so we can, is that,
Yep, I
is
think
that you're
that's
just letting
enough.
us know that we can study?
Study all you want. You don't know the questions yet.
That's the educational data.
Yeah.
Chat
And then,
GPT. What do I need to know?
and then we'll do some progress checks. So like after the February work session, and then after the April work session, we'll maybe send you out like another, like little
Yeah.
mini survey, like
Sure.
to assess how
Mhm.
confident you're feeling with the knowledge and what we're trying to share with all of you. And then we'll do a little end of year.
Okay, and to honestly say, I'm not getting it, or,
Because that helps us to
Yeah.
guide where we need to be better at
Explaining.
explaining or teaching or answering the questions that are coming.
very good.
Last goal, strengthen and measure the student experience. So that is all, this is another really important goal around student experience, making sure students are having a positive experience in school. That's part of the getting kids to school. So if they're having a good experience at school, they're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not, they're not. So we have started administering the Youth Truth Survey. We gave it in this past spring, and we have the data results from that. So that is our baseline. And that actually surveys parents, students, and staff. And it gives us really good data because it's asking the same sets of questions of all three groups. And then we have a lot of comparative data around that.
And a lot of great.
But the three responses we definitely want to be measuring is that students report having at least one trusted adult at school. Students perceive that our discipline practices are fair and equitable, and that they report that their classes are academically challenging and engaging.
Very good. Okay.
So we already did the survey in the spring, so we have the baseline data already. The survey will be given again in the spring of 2026. Our goal is to increase our positive response rate by at least 5 percentage points on these three specific areas. Because it asks a lot of questions. But these are the three questions that we are targeting principals cabinet team altogether that we feel are the most important to target.
Okay.
And then we just had our Youth Truth actually came out and did a work session with the cabinet team and principals already. And we went through all our data. And so each school
From that baseline.
has defined like one actionable strategy that they're working on this year.
Okay.
Already.
Would love to know that.
Yep.
What are they, I write? Okay, got it.
Yep. So, and then,
Youth Truth dashboard.
yep. And again, we already have the baseline. We already completed our data reflection because Youth Truth was out here. We're going to administer again in April. And then in June, we'll probably have Youth Truth come back out once our data results are back
Okay.
and start the cycle for the next year. And also measure how did we do.
Okay, and then we get to be informed of all of that, which I love the informing part. Yay.
Yeah.
Relevant, aligns directly. Yep, there you go.
This third goal, is it connected also, so like the first goal is LPGT. So the third goal, is it also connected somewhere larger than this? Only because it says you've already completed a baseline survey. So if you anticipated this because of something or it's connected to something else?
So the Youth Truth survey, that actually came through our intensive program recommendations. So we had a lot of different like surveys happening that didn't necessarily align, and what Youth Truth does is brings it all under one umbrella. So again, like I said, we're surveying youth, our staff, and our parents, and we're able to then see measurable change over time. Whereas with our other surveys, we weren't doing them in a consistent way. So this is now a consistent way that we're administering the surveys. It's not tied to an LPGT. The state doesn't have a goal for like improving student experience. That's not a goal that they measure.
And the other thing I'll say is that, without being kind of a aligned effort like she just described, our participation in surveys was never great, right? Because there were just kind of all these different things. And so parents would see them and ignore them or whatever. And it would just, you weren't getting a good sample size from the community or even parent groups. And I mean, I don't even think the baseline had great numbers from a participation rate, but I think what I appreciate about this effort with the alignment is that, if we can start explaining to the community, hey, like this is important, like now it's consistent, it's a, ongoing thing, it's a defined period of time when the survey comes, hopefully, those participation numbers come up, which makes the data even more meaningful, right? That we can glean from it, because I worry about sample size personally, knowing that it's not great, right? But if we're diligent and consistent with it, I can only anticipate that participation rate would increase, and then it'll make, again, like I said, the information we glean from it more meaningful and allows us to kind of understand, hey, where are we at in our building level, and what do we need to do to improve things on the various aspects.
Well, and Youth Truth sets the measurement for what is going to be a sample size for your district based on your population. And so
I still want to see it higher, but that's just me.
Well, no, same, but they track
Yeah,
it for
and
you
they'll tell you.
while the survey window is open, because the survey window is open for a whole month. They're tracking it and then they're communicating with us. Like, hey, this school has really good, like all of their participation rates are above the sample size, so you're good. Keep going, like keep getting more. Or this particular school is really low. We need more participation in order to be able to count this in the sample size.
So all boots on the ground would then be promote.
And to that point, I do remember getting some parent square notifications,
Yes.
so.
And then that's when they start hammering everybody with the parents.
Yeah, link the survey, please.
So I can attest to that, yes,
Yeah.
there is kind of the additional communication and reminders and whatnot, so.
So,
And I did fill it out.
oh, you did eventually, okay. Very good.
Maybe at the last minute.
Maybe at the last minute, got it.
It's a final reminder.
Taking it to the edge. Okay, so we only have really like 5 or 4 minutes, but a policy procedure. So this is near and dear to David's heart. If he was in place here or in person, I'm sure he'd be quite vocal about it. David, would you like to speak to policy procedure?
I think we need to have some work sessions where we focus on reviewing policy and procedures and like bring some to the table and determine as a group if we need to revise them and whatnot.
I certainly run across some funky language in things like, and why is it worded that way? So.
Yeah, and I think one other thing that'll help us do is it'll help us understand our procedures, our policies better, so that we are more educated as board members. And so if we determine that we don't need to actually change anything, then at least we learned, right? And that we're better off. But I do see that there are opportunities to make improvements.
Mm-hmm. Or write new ones, you never know.
Yeah, or write new ones. If an existing one isn't in place.
So so maybe Vince, you could even tell us what are and I believe, David, you were telling me that we have policies that says we can write policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Policy
under
BL.
AV, and that's where the policy and the AR are written that describe how we go about making policy or making policy.
But David, I'm trying to understand kind of where you're coming from. Are you asking for like a comprehensive policy review? of all the existing policies?
No, I'm more thinking that if there are opportunities for improvement, that as a board, we work on improving and strengthening those policies.
So policy review.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's a
my
more comprehensive.
recommendation to the
Yeah.
board this year is just focus on your B section of policies. Really just, those are your policies. Maybe take some looks in the C section. But yeah, all of you should, have read the B section and be conversant with those, because those are the ones that govern you and what you do and where your authority comes from, what you can do and how you do your job. After that, then you can start, branching out and understand that you are going to be reviewing policy. I mean, policy updates
Because
are
it's,
already
yeah,
rolling out.
policy
I think.
updates are
Oh, but we
constant.
haven't
it
even
seems.
touched.
The long
we haven't done
session
everything
just-
No,
yet.
it's,
So
You guys, get
we have a
double more on you in
whole
October.
year.
There's
It's,
a whole bunch of policies we have to go through already.
It's interesting. I find during the regular meeting, it's pretty awkward because they're really long and we just kind of diss over them and we're just like, and so many of them are statutory updates or stuff like that, right? Administrative rules got changed or something like that. So how could we do that more efficiently so they're not so odd? Not such a moment of us just kind of glossing over them and looking like we don't care. Does that make any sense to you, or is that just my
I
experience?
think we moved them that way because we get them ahead of time and go
Yeah.
over them, so we're not sitting there reading through every
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
making the
Yeah.
meeting so long.
That's why you have a first.
We do it
reading,
at home
second
before
reading.
we,
Yeah.
and if we have any questions, we just call the office.
But we can adopt on a first reading if we want, right?
Mhm.
you can.
Yeah. So we can say, this is good to me.
If there is one you want to
But-
pull out
Yeah,
and bring up, you could do that.
I think the cadence
Okay.
makes sense though, because to what David just said, in terms of like, that first reading is really meant, the introduction of it, the why behind it, like if it's an OAR change, ORS change. And then, you can come with questions to that, to have a discussion, and that helps inform if there's any revision that needs to come for us in the second reading.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
And that's not to say that if you didn't say or ask something during the meeting, that you can't email Renata and Dr. Bernal and say, hey, I was reviewing this again, now this came up, and then again, that would come second reading for discussion, or it may already come revision. And then when that's presented again, I think normally we use either different colored font or highlights and said, hey, after first reading, such and such happened, comment, question, now it informed this, and it's now a blue font color or whatever.
Mhm.
And so that's how I've seen the cadence work. Not to say that all of them will necessitate that, but we have come across policies where that tailoring to kind of fit D21 does kind of follow that flow, and then we end up seeing the revisions kind of
Does the board
over time.
ever bring up,
Yes.
staff's trying to get through statutory, all those fixes,
Yep.
right? Does the board ever pull
Yep.
out one and go, ooh, this needs to be chatted about, or ooh, that one's missing, we need to write one?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the process for that?
It follows the same flow.
Yeah.
That it would be drafted, submitted,
So I
put on
mean,
the
that's
agenda?
the importance, at least for me, is when we get that board packet and the policies are in there.
Yeah.
That's our time to come prepared, have read through them,
Right.
and come ready to discuss that, right? At
So-
the meeting,
So,
and bring those items up.
so any board member can say, hey,
Yes.
I want to edit, I would like to consider an edit of this, or I would like to present a brand new one, or whatever, right? And asked for it to be put on the agenda? Or does it need to be reviewed
Wouldn't
by,
take it till legal.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be reviewed by
Yeah,
legal
Take it to-
counsel
Part of that
first,
process
right?
is we would
Yeah.
send it back to OSBA and say,
Yeah.
our board wants to change this, or our board wants to write this new policy.
Yeah,
Does this flow and does this follow all of the OARs?
right, is it legal?
Is it
Yeah.
legal? We have to do the legal
Mhm.
test too on our end.
Do we not use Jason for some of that legal testing?
We use OSBA because they have all
It's
the.
free.
Yeah, I know. Okay, is there a particular person there that
Yes,
these should be directed to?
Spencer.
Spencer Lewis, he's the director.
Spencer Lewis.
Spencer Lewis.
Okay, Spencer Lewis is the guy. So,
He's the policy guy.
And
for sure.
so, I mean, what we've also done over the time too is that, and it's been done in different forms in terms of, we've added new policies that hadn't previously existed. A lot of those came out of discussions, either at retreats or work sessions. The one that comes to mind, and I don't remember the letters, is during, I don't know what year, but there was a small contingent of people in the community that were wanting to rename Colonel Wright.
mhm,
And when we looked at policy, we didn't really have a good mechanism on how to deal with something like that.
mhm.
And so through that, we spent time and ended up adopting a policy that actually described the naming of buildings and other things within our district.
Okay.
Which we did not have anything at all.
Right.
To speak of. And so now you look, we do have a policy, and again, that didn't come out of anything statutorily required or
Right.
anything, but I think we
Local need.
had the need. We worked with OSBA. I think they may have even already had a sample of that.
It's policy
that,
IF.
Thank you. And then it got updated and refined for our specific instances. We had dialogue related to that because it gets into, like, when that came up, I mean, you go into that policy and you start looking at, do you include the naming after people or not? And like, or
Yeah, a
other
lot of,
things like
it's a
that,
rabbit hole there.
or
Yeah.
local.
Well, I think there was another thing
Geographic
too
features
that
or-
we didn't have policy on, which was like, memorials for
Oh.
students who passed.
There you
Like, we didn't have
Yes.
clear
Where?
language on
Yes.
how
It
that gets
prompted a
done.
lot.
Like, like somebody wants to plant a tree in front of the school with a
And-
plaque and do this big thing, like,
Yeah.
what's the process for
Right,
that?
right.
So we had to actually do policy around, like, how do you do a memoriam for a student who's
Yeah.
passed or a staff
Mhm.
member who's passed?
A brick or a tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, when you were asking, like, can we adopt a policy on the first
Reading,
on the
yeah.
first reading, and just my personal opinion, to not do that unless it's like an emergent thing that we need to have something so that we're in compliance, because having that public notice period, I think will help
That's a
with
good point.
Right, it's
engagement
just all
and
the,
trust and potential input on things
Mhm.
that are probably going to be very important to us, so it would be my
Not
personal
look like
plea
you're
to
in a
just
hurry.
not do that. Yeah, just,
Yeah.
we don't need to hurry things through.
Some policies are controversial and you
Correct.
don't want.
And you don't necessarily know.
Well, and the
If you got a
cell
hot
phone
one.
policy, that, all the,
Yeah, that's
the middle school came, talked about it. We all agreed was better than what.
And
We're
I
putting
mean,
out.
and we just implemented from day
Yeah,
one, and then even though you
I
guys
think
didn't
it gives
adopt
the,
later.
I think it gives the community an opportunity to come speak again that second time, because you get that initial, like with our cell phone policy, we got that initial really big surge that prompted us to rewrite. And then the second time when we had the new draft, nobody showed up, like in the numbers that they did for the original one, meaning that the silence kind of said that the community was okay with it.
I agree.
Right. All right, that was the first one. How'd we do? Thank you for your time, by the way.
That's great.
It was productive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for all your extra time, Renata. Dr. Dill. Oh, I shall. Oh, whatever that is, 7:07, meeting adjourned. Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Bye, David.
Bye, Dave.
Yes, the lady found out we wanted a tricolor,
Tricolor corgi, yeah.
just that she had one out of the whole litter.
Wow.
And so she
Renata,
called and I'm like,
when we get dates
How
figured out,
much?
will we get calendar invites?
Oh, man.
Oh, we have
Those
calendar,
agreements
but
are like
it's not right.
1,800
Yeah,
bucks.
add more.
We got 1,000.